Hello. Hello, everybody. So I think this is up and running properly now. The new computer means that it's a little bit tricky to make sure that I have everything working properly. But I think I think everything is good. If you have any problems with sound or anything like that, please let me know in the chat. Um, I think I have all the filters and like sound post processing and things like that set up properly. But like there's so many ways that can go wrong computer to computer. Still haven't even gotten the local sound to work properly. So like for the new computer, it's got I'm using the onboard sound, push everything out, and for whatever reason, the levels for that are much lower than I would like them to be. Even at max sound, it's still a little bit lower than I'd like. But in any case, I have the new computer. It's all set up and working now. I actually have here in the middle is the old computer. So I can pull this all up real quick. So here is the new computer. It's this nice fancy 8-core processor in here. Got a nice amount of RAM. So hopefully all those issues we were running into when I'd have, 3 or 4 VMs running and I've got Chrome running so that I can actually make sure the chat's working and I'm trying to stream things and all of that at once was causing problems every once in a while on the old machine, which for comparison, if I can pull this up. For comparison, we had, what is this? We had a pretty ancient i5 in it with only 16 gigs of RAM. So hopefully all of this is going to mean that the new machine much better for basically everything. But most importantly, what this means is that I can take this old computer, which we're currently remoted into. You may notice that the nice overlay that I used to have for the stream is completely gone because I haven't gotten any of that stuff transferred over yet. There's a story in there that I might tell once we get the fuzzing up and going. Basically, I expected to have quite a bit of time over the past 2 weeks, but due to some unfortunate instances, I have had much less time to actually work on things than I would like to have. So, with that said, have everything set up, and the goal here is that I would like the old computer, which is over in the corner here, it's set up so that I can have it streaming constantly. We had the D'Amato Dom fuzzer from the Ivan. I'm gonna forget his last name again. One of the Project Zero guys. He built a new Dom fuzzer. We were going to get that set up to fuzz our ancient Internet Explorer that we're looking at for the Windows 95 stuff. And the goal for today is to get that actually up and running. If you were here, I'm trying to think of when that was. This was about 2 weeks ago now. The goal was to get the fuzzer working, and I believe the fuzzer is currently working. We come in here, we should go to, we want a command prompt, fuzzing? Yeah, here we go. So if we do python -m, or set class app is equal to .py. No, we don't need to do that anymore, do I? I think I just do this now. So what we're doing here is this is the server.py, which, as we'll see here in a second, loading properly, is loading properly. So right here. We go to localhost. This is the Domato fuzzer running. Like it, right? Yeah, this looks like it. And the idea is that if we let this run long enough, it's possible it would crash Chrome. It's somewhat unlikely given that, you know, the Google-funded security guys wrote a browser fuzzer. I assume they put way, way, way more compute time into fuzzing Chrome than I ever could. But I might be able to find some nice crashes in an ancient version of Internet Explorer. That's the theory, at least. So we need to actually get that set up so we can do things. And you can see here, this is just the standard. So I'm trying to think of how far back to explain here. So this, that font, if any of the fonts are bad, please let me know. Like I said, I changed, lots of things are different now. So if any font levels are unreadable or the fonts are bad or anything like that, like you may notice that the chat on the side is a completely different font now. That's just because that was the first monospace font that I found on my options for. But if fonts are bad, please let me know. I will try and get them fixed. So, e fuzzing Domato. And if we look at this, sure, we don't need that. It's just a slightly modified version of the actual Domato fuzzer. It's set up a little bit differently so that it does a lot of the ingest stuff prior to starting the server. And then once the server starts up, we have the status page that we set up. Ooh, we have the status page that we set up, don't we? 806. Port 5000. Yes, I know you can't see this. I should be able to see this from my computer over here if I have everything set up properly. This is on the streaming machine, but it appears that this is set up properly for that to work. That's unfortunate. If I'm local here, does that work? I want local host 5000. Buzzer die? Is that the problem here? Status. So this is this nice status page that we got set up. This was the last stream, was putting together this status page. And the idea for the status page, right, is we should have some very basic stats for us to be able to post, because the end goal of all of this, and what we will almost certainly have done today before we're done with the stream, is the ability to have this fuzzer running Domato, running essentially all day, every day, and actually streaming the results out. Because what I'd like to have is I'd like to be able to have this fuzzer running, and once it runs and works, and hopefully is catching crashes, the next step is to take what is a somewhat boring stream, but it's a little interesting, right? Watching a fuzzer run isn't the most interesting thing, but it's a little interesting. What I think is really interesting, though, is being able to, any of the viewers, like anybody watching, I'd like to be able to help the fuzzer do better. And I've got a ton of ideas about how to do that. We're going to get to them eventually. The first of them is something very simple. I'd like to be able to have a person watching the stream take a core dump that has been generated by this fuzzer, and just have some basic information presented to them, and be able to say, oh, this is a crash that is exploitable, or it's not exploitable. Very simple. In fact, the first pass of it is probably almost entirely automatable, but having people do it, having humans do it, I think is potentially more interesting. Because it's the first in several steps. Some of the things that I'd like to do long term with this are things like get I'm blanking on words here. Sorry. Allow somebody who's watching to generate inputs that a fuzzer can't. So we've done a few streams now where we used AFL, and we talked a lot about why AFL doesn't work. Oh, we're just sitting here. Since I'm just talking, let's see if we get lucky with a Chrome crash. So AFL is a very good piece of technology for what it does. It takes a random, it takes random inputs, plugs them into an instrumented program, and attempts to get unique code coverage, unique paths through the program, under the theory that if you are able to randomly put input into all of the paths in the program, you should be able to help exercise basically all the bugs. And that's really good in theory. When that works, it works really well. However, there are some very simple things that a fuzzer like AFL, so AFL is a dumb fuzzer. It doesn't have, when it's generating an input, it doesn't really have deep understanding of what is the format this file, like this parser expects to receive in. And result is sometimes it does things that are kind of dumb. It isn't the best example is a checksum. If a format has a checksum in it that is required to be parsed, AFL 100% won't never generate it. There's the, 1 in the bit field size of that checksum that it might just randomly have the right value. But it'll essentially never generate that checksum properly, and if it matters, then AFL is just going to bail out and not be useful. So, what I think is interesting, and what I'd love to get done kind of long-term in this fuzzing project, is the ability for somebody watching the fuzzer to run to help prod it in the right direction. Because a human looking at, if I put up a little bit of disassembly and a file format and say, this is the disassembly that, here is a path in this disassembly that we cannot reach. Here is what the file format looks like. A person may be able to say, oh, that's a checksum right there. You need to fix that. You do, it works fine. So being able to help humans and the fuzzer work together is something that I'm pretty interested in trying to get working somewhat long-term here. But step 1, we need it running over in the corner so that I can get some crashes, and hopefully we can get the... That's not good. Not the cat. The cat is fine. That black screen is a little bit concerning, though. That may be related to the fact that previously the computer that's doing the fuzzing here had a relatively beefy video card in it. I think it was a 1070, like an NVIDIA 1070 in it, which is now in the current computer, and the old computer that's a fuzzer is now a using onboard video. So my guess is that it tried to push something into video buffer that onboard video didn't like. So, hello, Drew. So, I think that's a good explanation of where we are. We have this fuzzer set up, should be able to get things in and out relatively well. What we need to do now is we need to set up all the pieces around it work right. It was a interesting looking window there. So what we're currently fuzzing is we're fuzzing modern Chrome, which I 100% don't expect to work. This is mostly to give us a something to watch while I talk about what we're doing. What we will be fuzzing once we get it set up, and actually let's start doing that right now. This is going to be a little bit difficult because I'm not actually sure how to do what we're about to do, because we set up quite a while ago now this Windows XP VM. And this VM has a absolutely ancient version of oh man, I'm blanking on Internet Explorer. So it's running Internet Explorer 5.5. And the hope here is that if we take this nice modern fuzzer and we point it at an ancient browser, well, we point an ancient browser at it, because the fuzzer is the server and the target is the client, so it's kind of a weird way to think about things for technology's sake. But the idea is that this VM is set up. What we need to do today is actually get things set up so that the browser in here will point at a server out here and hopefully work. So, Jeru, what kind of sources are you looking for? There's a ton of sources for people who are new to things. It depends on what exactly it is you want. But the first thing we need to do is I can't actually reach this. So, for whatever reason, it appears that a Hyper-V VM, so I use Hyper-V for all my virtualization now. And apparently they won't push the mouse over remote desktop into a Hyper-V VM properly. I'm trying to think of what good books there are. The Green Art of Exploitation book is the one that I think most people recommend for some of the people who are starting out. It's a little dated now, so it's from 2008 was the latest version. But if you're talking about very basic things, this is a great place to get started. Other than that, I would recommend looking at Twitters and reading from like Twitter is a great place to learn all sorts of things. But there's a really good security community. Oh, the practical malware analysis is also really good. If you can find a copy of it. Yeah, the color doesn't matter too much. At least I don't think the color matters. It's just which revision it is. I know back when I read it, it was the green one. I don't know which version, though, off the top of my head. But practical malware analysis is good. I think I've got a copy of that someplace. Although I've moved several times since the last time I read those books, so I actually have no idea where they've gotten to. I might have they might have been in the group of books that I ended up giving away. Conversing with Lena. I actually have no idea what that is. I've never heard of it before. IP address. .148. So my hope here is that I can actually remote desktop into the VM, and that will work, rather than, because, so I can't use the mouse right now. The hope here is that I can use my great keyboard skills to turn on remote. Oh, that is unfortunate. I hope this doesn't bite us hard. So we did some very bad things to the Windows installation on here. I would not be entirely surprised if no. I cannot log in because of it. Why don't I try Telnet? Because Telnet probably won't work because we don't have it enabled. So I need to change that. Where were we? I want test my computer, manage. Yeah, I definitely would recommend like any of the modern stuff that people are doing. So like Malware Unicorn, other person. Actually, if you're just interested in good sources to learn from, I try and follow on YouTube as many people as I can doing interesting stuff. Um, and I think you can pull, like, if you go to on, how do I actually get to? I go to the studio and then yeah, if you go to my channel here, I guess I don't have all of them here anymore. But like the stuff Ginvale puts out is really great. I 100% recommend it. Same with Live Overflow. Colin Hardy has been doing some more malware related stuff, at least recently. There's the malware analysis for hedgehogs, is another malware reversing channel. Micah does a lot of like what am I thinking here? EE, which is electrical engineering type stuff. Basically, all the people here on the left, I definitely recommend. They do cool stuff all the time. They're great resources in my. So, the fuzzer I'm using is Domato. It's a fuzzer from. It's written by. You know what? We can just pull this up real quick. So, Domato. It is a Google-related fuzzer. It's written by Ivan Fretrick. It is open source. It is 100% open source. You can go down and you can download it. I suspect it is actually relatively easy to get. It's relatively easy to get set up for a first pass. I need to set up probably need to set a password. That's probably my problem. But then it should work. If you don't know C or assembly, I would recommend learning them. Because if you don't know C or assembly, it's going to be quite difficult to be able to do much. Like doing anything related to like memory corruption type vulnerabilities is going to be absolutely impossible. I shouldn't say that. It won't be absolutely impossible, but massively harder if you don't know assembly. Probably close to actually impossible. Basics of assembly, I would recommend, without question, no matter what kind of security stuff you want to learn, learning the basics of assembly, I would recommend. The same with C. It's an incredibly useful language for all sorts of different things. That being able to know it, being able to use it readily, like I write Python for almost everything that is not performance related, and then if performance matters for it, I'll write it in C, and sometimes raw assembly, but that's pretty rare. But going back to this, I'm trying to think through exactly what we need to do, because it's a little bit trickier than I originally thought. So for this VM, we need it to, what we want to do is we want to set up, trying to think through again the way that we had things set up previously. So the VM is running Internet Explorer in WinDebug, and Internet Explorer is pointed at our fuzzer. WinDebug is set up so that it will run until it catches a crash, or until WinDebug gets the input back. So if it's a crash or the process exits cleanly, either one would cause WinDebug to get something to break it in. So we set that up so that it will do that, and it will eventually write a core dump back to a share, which was set up. Once that's set up, I think we're done in the V. Need to get that set up. So let's take a look at that. Assembly books. I actually don't know good assembly books. Crap. This is unfortunate. But I don't remember exactly what we ran. So we did I remember this correctly, when we first set this up, we set it up so that it would push out a core dump. The unfortunate part is that I don't remember it off the top of my head. The good part here is that because I stream all of this, I have this nice convenient replay that I can do. I don't know what any of that means. I can live with that. Maybe it's domain. Quite a bit. It's crash. It's taking a while to load it out. So the way that I ended up learning assembly had a lot to do with just poking at things. Okay, this is it came down to a lot of playing CTFs, reading a lot of the like Intel x86 manual, and like staring at a I probably would not recommend it because nowadays there are much better ways. Yeah, that's actually a really good recommendation from Siler. If you know how to write C, learning how to and then learn how to reverse engineer your own C, it's a really good way to get started. So you do something like so like I'm going to write a very simple C program. That's not right. So write just a very simple C program, compile it, then try and disassemble it. So I need to okay dash F dash D, and then go through this and read it and see what it does. That's basically where I would get started. Well, maybe not where I would get started, but it is a very good recommendation. Helps a lot when you write a program, look at the assembly, understand how that assembly got generated, change things, keep looking at it. I would start with C. That's probably a good place to start just because it's simpler and it's what everything uses, especially for reverse engineering. A lot of the C++ specific, very difficult for reversing. All sorts of things like the indirect calls where I have a class or an object and I'm calling a method on it. That is very difficult to learn from a standpoint what is going on. It's a good idea to do it eventually, but starting with C will probably make your life a lot. So, going back to this, we want to run. Not sure if I'm happy or not that due to very poor decisions when I was younger. Turns out, not having a mouse is not annoying and kind of expected. So, we're going to do Go. I need to look how to do this. WinDebug make core dump. Run .dump, right? The bug. So /MA for M. A gives us all optional. F is full memory. So MA is what I want. Oh, I want capital M, capital A. That is probably the one I want. So we're going to run it. Want to do a dot? No, we need to set up a share first, don't we? Let's see if I remember. So we ran into an issue that when we reset the VM, it would sometimes restore the shares and sometimes it wouldn't restore. So the solution I came up with, we did it this last time, was we would save the core dumps locally. The VM, well, not the host would then go into the VM and would try and pull a core dump out. The mic is truncating what I am saying. Okay, let's see if we can fix that quick. Which of these is it? So it's probably the or the right. So the noise gate is what's causing it. If it's cutting off what I say at the end, I want to raise the attack time. Is that right? Shorter the attack time, the faster it stops sound. I think that's the way that. Yeah, it's almost certainly just that I spent 30 seconds trying to copy my settings over and didn't do a particularly good job of it. Hopefully the previous settings did not do that. Oh, it might be a compressor thing too. Compressor, I wanted a higher attack and a higher release. That. Okay. I just changed a couple things. Hopefully that makes it better. If it's still doing it, please let me know and I will poke at it again and see if that fixes it. So we shared out this. This is where we were saving core. Okay. So let's come in here. Actually, let's folder dumps. Okay. And we want to do a .dump / im capital A :/ crash / dumps / dump. Here's some. How do I do that? Yes, all of the almost all the live streams are made available soon after. It's a somewhat automated process, but I think sometimes it takes up to an hour to be able to watch them after the fact, due to how YouTube does things. They're set up such that as soon as the live stream is over, it should become a video that you can go watch. And I haven't gone through in a while and renamed them. I try and keep each of the series in a playlist so that you can go view. In particular, things like up here. I want to do that. So I have a series of playlists here. For example, when we did some of the Intel CPU errata videos, the NumPy streams, and the GIF-crack ones. So those are all set up so that you can just click on this playlist and watch all of them together. But not all of them. The most recent ones, so the Windows 95 streams, like what we're doing right now, those aren't set up yet. Not sure why the chat just did that. So the chat on the window where I'm actually watching it just set itself and dumped a whole bunch of stuff. So /XC, XR, and X exception and context. I definitely want that, right? Actually, I don't want that. I thought there was a way to... I thought I had to specify a different switch so that it would append different things to it. Seeing it now. Basically, I want this to have a slightly random name so that it won't cause problems when I copy it over. What challenges for RE-even exploitation do I recommend? So I personally am a huge fan of CTFs as the, like, it's how I've learned a vast majority of what I do is playing in CTFs, and the way that so this is CTF Time if you're with it. It's a great resource. I believe it's run by Nicholas B, I think? Maybe not. In any case, it is a great resource to know what CTFs are coming up. So you can see here are the past few events. Here are really, really great teams. Go and be like, oh, PPP, you're so great. Or, whatever you want to do with your own time. It's not up to me. But they also have the upcoming events, and like this right here is basically my like personal calendar that I keep track of things on. So like I've already blocked off most of this weekend so that I can go play the HitCon CTF. That's going to be not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. And my personal plan is all day Saturday, all day Sunday, I'll be holed up with my laptop playing the CTF. I think I actually have dinner plans on Saturday, but other than that, all weekend CTF. But at least personally, I really recommend CTFs. Way to go! You should definitely look into them. So the White Hat Challenge that's coming up this weekend, they're not my favorite events, but for somebody learning, they're probably pretty good. So historically, I've had some problems with like challenges not being done the way that I would like them to be done, but for the most part, they're decent event. And if you're looking to learn, just give this a try this weekend. You may or may not make good progress on it, but you'll definitely learn what areas you don't know about. Then HitCon is next weekend. If you're, for some reason, in the California region, there's Hack the Nexus, which is a big Blizzard thing. The version, as I've heard it, is that it is largely being used to help recruit for their anti-cheat team. So, like, if you know, if you're good at the game hacking, like written aimbots and you've done all this, avoiding different types of anti-cheat stuff, they would definitely be interested in talking to you, especially if you want a job offer. Like, showing up this event and doing well probably will result in them offering you a job to come work for them. I can't say that for sure, but since I have no affiliation with them, saying they'll probably give you a job offer is a kind of good assumption. Outside of that, the next, so 2 CTF, TU CTF was good last year. I'll probably do that. RU CTF is coming up, and I have mixed feelings about RU CTF. It's generally one of the only online attack defend CTFs. Because of that, it usually has problems, but that's coming up in December, which should be interesting. Personally, though, I will be doing HitCon and SecCon are the next 2 CTFs. I'll block off all weekend. These are events I'm going to do. Then the beginning of next year, it isn't in yet, but I expect someplace around the like February timeframe, every weekend, great events all the time. I always look forward to it. It's gonna be great. So that's my recommendation on how to learn things. There's probably way more than you actually wanted to. So we want to actually create a dump now to go back to where we were. I want to create a dump, and I thought that it had information on it. Append. Oh, here we go. /u. Look at that. See, this is not true. It appends the date, time, and PID. That does not ensure that the names are unique. Would think they would be, but because of how we're doing things, they might or might not be. Oh, Microsoft documentation. This is not true. Yes, kitty? So the cat that you heard meowing earlier has decided that while I'm working, she would like to sit on my lap, and she's decided to. Not sure if the mic can pick it up, but it feels very similar to my phone in my pocket vibrating. It's a little bit distracting. It's like that. What do they call it? Phantom ringing sensation. I guess what it's called. Where a phantom vibration syndrome. That's what they call it. When your muscles in your leg twitch. You apparently think, because most people are currently used to a phone in their pocket vibrating, it will, any twitch in your muscles, which happen normally all over your body, will get associated with your phone ringing because you are used to having your phone vibrate in your pocket. It feels somewhat similar. So it's a thing. It's something that I like talking about a lot. So it's not my cat. Her name is Princess. It's the name that she had when we got her from the Humane Society. Decided not to change her name. Not that she cares. She kind of just likes to sit on things, scratch things. That's about it. I think it's what she likes. She likes to scratch things. She likes to eat things. But back to what we were doing here. We're going to create a dump. We want to do /ma/u. Is that it? Yes. Date, time, PID. Adds the git debug info structure. I don't think we care about that. But I think this is all that we want, isn't it? So this should do all of that. And I think that's everything we want. So it's going to run if this ever returns. So it's going to execute the G command, which will start the process. It will run. If the process ever returns, so if GDB ever breaks in, it will create a core dump to C:/crash dumps dump. What we want. Run. Switch over here. Of course, none of this is right anymore. So what we're going to do here, assuming that I can get this all to work, is we want to I need to no, I don't need to F4 168 16 port 5000. Right? Does this work? Oh, right. This is not going to work because it doesn't automatically append that. So 5.1. That does work. Look at that. Okay. I really hate that the mouse is stuck like that. Huh. Like, I have that mouse pointer in the middle there, which I don't like, but checkpoint. So Assuming everything is working properly, we should see this run and eventually catch a crash. Like I mentioned before, this is just running that D'Amato fuzzer. If we come over here, you should see we actually have a fuzzing rate that's going up now, actually getting crashes. If we let this run long enough, in theory, we should catch a crash. It will core dump. That. Revert to our previous checkpoint. Oh. So if all this works properly, I should be able to revert like that. Going. Yes? Try that again. I should be able to revert. Once this loads, still be able to keep fuzzing. Why is this not working the way that I think it should be working? So I just reverted the snapshot, and as far as I can tell, it is not receiving, not doing anything. Try this again. Load this back up. Load this. Start again. It doesn't appear to be doing anything. It's almost like it isn't reverting properly at all. Right? So it's never making a new request, which I assume means that everything failed. Reset this again. Hello! A couple people who just showed up. Welcome. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get everything finally working so that we can fuzz things properly. We're using a absolutely ancient version of Internet Explorer. I believe it's from 2001 or 2002. And we're using a modern DOM fuzzer from Ivan Fratrick out of Project Zero. So if all of this works the way that it should work, should, within hopefully a relatively short amount of time, have this fuzzer up and going. And I'm going to push this computer the rest of the way back into the corner, and we will have a always-on fuzzer, hopefully catching some cool crashes for us. Know that it's... So, unfortunately, you can't see what I'm doing particularly well, but should... There we go. Now we're inside of it. So maybe I can revert. So I don't plan on... Well, I don't currently have any plans to attend anything in person, but I definitely plan on playing in HitCon. That's in not this weekend, but the following weekend, November 5th and 6th. Or no, it's not 5th and 6th. November 4th and 5th. The 6th is a Monday. I've had dinner plans on the 4th for about a month now. I consistently think, for whatever reason, that November 5th is that Saturday. Has led to no end of problems for me. So, for whatever reason, if I revert this snapshot... Okay, so now we are in here. It appears to be working. Take another checkpoint. Running application state was included in the checkpoint operation. I can configure checkpoint. Great. By letting this run, catch a crash, right? Get over here in the left, the fuzzing state. Catch a crash? Yeah, I'm not sure what the best solution is with different people watching at different resolutions. So based on the stats that YouTube gives me, it looks like about half of everybody is watching 1080p stream. All. Then the next most popular is the 360p, so the smallest resolution possible. It's really a hard problem to try and determine, like, what is the best option. There's a lot of information I'd like to have presented to people. So I want to have the rate we're fuzzing at. I want to have some status stuff. I want to be able to actually watch the fuzzing. Of course, we get stuff like this occasionally. But it lets us test our revert. So again, if everything is working, I should hit revert here. And it should keep fuzzing. So on the topic of Windows 10 and privacy, it's something that I've ranted on previously. I personally do not think there are privacy. And the reason I think that is because I am running whatever code Microsoft gives me. They are giving me, like, they push down a Windows update to me. I will install that automatically. In fact, I would be dumb not to. So my personal feelings on it are that, yes, there are some privacy concerns. They push down advertisements to me. I turn off. And there are a lot of options I turn off because I don't like what they do. So like advertisements, the Cortana hot mic stuff, I turn off because I don't put it on. But in terms of like privacy concerns, I think Windows 10 is 100% better than an older version. Regardless of privacy concerns, I think because I'm going to arbitrarily run whatever Windows, like Microsoft gives me, I think Windows 10 is better than Windows 7, given that if Microsoft was being malicious, then the update, I'd run whatever they gave me anyway. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to talk about privacy when I'm basically already doing whatever they want. But with that said, I personally am not a huge privacy advocate. For example, Alexa. Oh, Alexa. Are you not going to talk to me now? Like, I have a Alexa all over the place. We have two in the apartment here. Thanks. There are two in the apartment here. I fully understand that having a microphone running in my living room means that stuff is being recorded out of my living room. And yes, there are some privacy concerns because of that, but it is a trade-off that I'm willing to make. Same with running Windows 10 as opposed to Windows 7. Like, yes, there are some privacy concerns there, but the trade-offs there are well worth it. So that's my personal opinion on it. There are plenty of people that disagree with me, but yes, I use Linux for all sorts of things. The reason I don't use it for everything is because, to be quite honest, Linux is terrible as a desktop system. They're doing better, and they've been doing better for quite a while, but as a desktop system, it is actually awful. And the reason for that is simply that the hardware vendors, when they are making hardware, test it for Windows, but they don't necessarily build things for Linux. And when they do, they don't test it as well. And realistically, I need my hardware to just work. Like, I run Windows because I know my hardware will just work on it. And if I have to spend, a week getting my computer to work, that's a week that I'm not doing useful things. And on that topic, I will now go into another unpopular rant, or somewhat unpopular rant, which is I do not believe Linux is better because it is open source. While that has some benefits, it is not the magic solution that some people would like you to believe it is. And there are a lot of cases where the idea that Linux being open source makes it, I think, is pretty explicitly false. And there's a lot of really good examples that it turns out just because something is open source doesn't mean it isn't complete shit. Thanks, Alexa. I did not. While I am very amused that saying complete shit triggered Alexa to hot mic my living room, that is not what I intended. But no, there's a lot of examples that Linux is less responsive to bugs than Microsoft is, and Windows is. So having a security vulnerability can last longer because of how Linux is set up. And there's a number of problems, but I don't think I'm actually going to convince anyone that my stance is better. But that is my somewhat unpopular rant, that I think Linux is great for certain things, and for any server, almost any server, I'm going to run Linux on it, some flavor of Linux. But for a desktop computer, I vastly prefer Windows. I think it is basically always the right decision. So, well, this is unfortunate. I don't know why this keeps failing. So, while I've been ranting about all of this, I've been trying to get this to actually revert properly, and it still is not reverting properly. Like, that worked. I can refresh it, and let's take a look at what we're actually doing here. Start tearing my hair out. So, of course, this is still not sizing properly. Yes, at some point we will have the year of Linux on the desktop. It is by far not here yet. And while it may eventually get here, it is not. Delete it. I do not care. So we are refreshing that way. Is this the only way we're refreshing? Ow. The cat is sitting on me again and decided that chest should be clawed. It had a distinct lack of scratches, apparently. My best bet. I want to. If I can use reload, that would work, but I have the meta tag already in here. That doesn't necessarily. That work? Computers are so confusing. I revert succeed. I want it to start. Let's start with. So, make sure that you're actually doing things properly. You are threaded. Good. You run this. Then I expect it to actually work. Here, that might not be the best assumption, but it is an assumption that I am making. I don't understand this. Like, it's not even connecting right now, which it definitely should be. I don't know why this is not. That's so. Good night, Thanasis. Running? Not running. So, yes, I am in the US. As far as other people, I don't know. Oh, oh, now it works? The virtualization software I'm using is Hyper-V. It's actually one of the reasons why I think Windows is vastly superior to Linux on the desktop. Because Hyper-V ships with Windows and does virtualization better than almost any of the other virtual platforms available. Um, Especially for performance reasons, like Hyper-V is vastly better than for performance than almost anything, except for like ESX. But you're probably not using ESX for your standard virtual stuff, and at least for what I want to do, Hyper-V, it's the best. Do recommend. Is not doing what I want it to do at all, is it? QEMU is good for many things. It's not superior, especially for performance. The best benefit to Hyper-V is that because it's so tightly integrated with Windows, the guest, so the host, is actually a virtual machine. When you install Hyper-V, it takes currently installed Windows system and it will. So Hyper-V is a Microsoft product. It is free is maybe not the best way to say it, but it is shipped with Windows. Part of what you pay for when you if you pay for one of the, I don't think it's on the home version, but the higher end versions, it's definitely a part. And because the guest or the host is actually a guest, it means that performance. So if I was to run VirtualBox or VMware or QEMU or something like that, to run something that is performance critical, so I'm running something that's going to use a lot of CPU time or memory or something like that, then the host will get first priority due to the way the kernel handles a lot of things. My host will get first priority, and it can, some things work and some don't. With Hyper-V, my experience is that it is much, much, much better with replication because everything's a VM. So, oh, oh, huh. Look at that! I'm sitting here trying to figure out why things aren't working, and it turns out the reason they aren't working is I got a core dump. So we created a dump with a PID file name, and it created a dump. So I should be able to come in here, go to, I already mount it. How do I do that? Do I do that? Add a network. 5148. Great, this should work. Yeah, that worked. Crash, dumps. There it is. Copy this off to full storage here. Buzzing. folder. Oops. Look at that shiny graph. Linux doesn't have a graph like this, now does it? This is not a good, like, a graph for file transfers over the network is not a good. That is completely trolling for anybody who couldn't tell. So if this works properly, this should not just be static. I should see an okay. JavaScript fresh time. So as you can tell, I'm my what's the word for? My JavaScript is not the strongest. Up a lot of this stuff every time. So start with this, right? Maybe I can get away with just increasing the it's possible we're catching it in the middle of a refresh, and that's causing a problem. So if I refresh this, I checkpoint again. Maybe this works. Yes, we are fuzzing an ancient version of Internet Explorer. We're actually fuzzing Internet Explorer 5.5, so it's a 15-year-old version of Internet Explorer. And the reason why we're fuzzing such an old version of Internet Explorer is because it should crash relatively easily. I've seen it crash a couple times now. Which should let us get good fuzzing results. So one of the things that I've been trying to do with these streams, to differing amounts of success, is I want to do things that are very similar to modern security practices, but that are not going to be directly secure. So I don't want to so I wouldn't want to fuzz Chrome right now a little bit. Because if I were to find a like current Chrome bug, I don't want to do that on stream. I like having current browser exploits in the wild is at least dangerous, and it's also quite valuable. Like at the very least, I would prefer to report it to Google and get some dollars for it, rather than do it on stream and probably get the 20 cents worth of ad revenue. Is it still doing that? Let us change this a little bit more then. So I mentioned this earlier in the stream. I tried to take the filters off my old computer and move them over, and I appear to have done them to mixed success. It works somewhat. It does not work perfectly. Okay. I changed some settings there. It might be a little bit better now. If it keeps doing that, please tell me as soon as it does. I definitely want to. On. This is still not working. So the other thing that was brought up is that I can actually modify these tags. So now I want out. Go. End of all of this. I think I can set it to refresh. So window.locate reload. I think doing this, refresh here. Really hate this like mouse input problem I'm having. It's much more annoying than I. Oh, of course, we got another crash. How lucky of us. So we did get. That's interesting. We watched that left terminal. It got a connection. Okay, there's another option we can, like, there's another route we can take. Again, not a huge fan of, but it will at least work. Anyway, edit server.py. I'm going to start this. I do at app.route slash reader def reader. I want to do buff is equal to. I kind of hate the way that this works, but HTML. That's a good point. I am. But that's a very good point. So it is set up to do the meta refreshed to reset it, which should still work, but actually, I'm starting to think that maybe that. Let's do. Oh, look at that. That one just worked. How did. I am constantly surprised that, like, computers do not work. And this is a good example of that. Like, I don't think we actually changed anything, but now it works. And if computers worked the way that I thought they worked, that should not be the case. But what do I know? Unfortunately, so ideally, this would be something that we could easily watch fuzz. And because I don't remember what the JavaScript to do it is, but there is a set of JavaScript to force window to go behind windows, and it appears that has happened to it. Less than ideal. At this point, we've gotten to a crash, which is not a crash, but it has redirected itself to an invalid page. That's clearly just not. I do not. Okay, so what I was going to do here is I want to do a countdown and then go to this page. So edit this. We're going to a app.route reader def reader buff is equal to head. I don't need a. I need body. Need to set a timeout. So I want function reader go location hash set timeout reader 3000. 3000 should be milliseconds, right? So I think that should just work. Start this. That. And if the mysterious computer come in here, yeah, I'm pretty convinced that this is just not functioning. Crap. I need to here delete that. Copy all of this to close this. And debug again. Open X. Desktop. I5. Or someplace. Okay. There we go. iExplore.exe. Do not save. This is what I want it to do. Tab into this. Stop going there. 2.168.5.1.5000 reader. As soon as that goes through, start creating it. What? Oh, that is me being dumb. Burn buff. Okay. Let's try this again. So as soon as this goes, I want to try and create a snapshot. Checkpoint 5. 5, 4, 1, go. 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 I do it over here. So local host 5,000 meter. Uh, okay, so why am I awful at JavaScript? No, we're still fuzzing. We tried to get it to work, and it did not. Oh, I am a complete moron. Wow. How, how did nobody yell at me that I misspelled the word function? For shame. All be ashamed of ourselves. Okay. 7. Right on cue. That works. Okay. So now that I actually am doing something real, we'll try this one more time. Checkpoint fuzz 6. So if this works properly, take a couple seconds, then try and redirect. Given that it's telling me there's an HT100 error, one, 4. Would appear that maybe using or that is old, that it does not support redirection this. Which, if that's the case, quite unfortunate. So it does work. Very well, right? So we requested this page, refreshed this, requested it. We have a checkpoint. After about 5 of those go by. Works. Okay. So that looks okay. If I revert, still work. Let it work. So we wait for a couple more of these to go past. It's trying to open it. Why is it not opening it? Why is that not? That's actually a much more complicated way of setting up fuzzing. Like, it is definitely an option, but setting things up to fuzz parts of an executable as opposed to entire executable, like queries, ends up being much more complicated. And it also defeats one of the purposes I had doing this, that I was hoping it would be well, I was hoping it'd be relatively easy to get set up, which is problems. But for shame, browser, for shame. Why? So as far as I can tell, when I revert this VM, for some reason, not getting its. I reload this thing. I refresh it. You know what? It's going to work fine. That's interesting. Okay, you know what? We are resetting this. Off computer, restart. Let's give this another. So that's kind of the point, critical damage. If people were using it, then if I found a crash in it on Steam, that would be a problem. Theory here is that bugs in Ancient Internet Explorer look similar to bugs in modern Internet Explorer. For us to look at them, hopefully have people learn from it. Now, this is a theory that may or may not be true. We'll have to wait and see about that one. But that is at least the theory for it. While we're at it, a lot of checkpoints. So it is worth noting that AFL is pretty awful at fuzzing something like a browser. Like, it's really bad at it. And that's at least somewhat intentional. It is not designed at all. But I would be pretty shocked if it were to... so it's because of how it works, right? It's designed to basically flip bits at random. And if I'm trying to fuzz HTML or JavaScript, it will never create interesting states. It fundamentally cannot do that without basically running until the heat death of the user. So you need to do something a little bit more intelligent. It's the discussion we had earlier about dumb fuzzers versus intelligent fuzzers, and AFL very much is a dumb fuzzer. That's not to say it's a bad fuzzer. For what it does, it is by far the best, at least public fuzzer available. Nothing comes even close how well AFL does. And I'm sure there are plenty of people who have like private fuzzers that are much better, but for public things, AFL is far and away the best for being a dumb fuzzer. And even then, like, it's kind of crossing the line. It's doing instrumentation of the binaries to learn from it, but it's not really a dumb fuzzer. Whereas, going with this, whereas if we were to try and fuzz HTML, it just wouldn't do anything because it needs to create specific like JavaScript objects and get there. So g dot dump slash mf colon slash crash dumps dump. You can move it. Ooh, and this is moving the mouse out of the way a little bit too. That's nice. So for people who weren't here at the start, we are currently running under a very annoying restriction, which is that the VM that I have here will not accept mouse input over. Wait, why is this not? Oh. Gonna get a little upset there for a second that apparently everything was 8. Should hopefully work. Yeah, it's entirely possible that someone could modify AFL to be fuzzing well, but as far as I'm aware, that is not public. Done that, and I'm not sure that it's necessarily the best approach. Because when you're talking about, so at least this is somewhat opinion based, but modern fuzzing for browsers has gotten very advanced. Um, there's a lot that goes into understanding what the browser. Easy stuff has been gone for a long time, and AFL is like AFL kind of targets a different type of target, something that relatively simple to modify a file and throw it again. And it's very possible that if you were to make AFL work well as a browser fuzzer, you may be better off just fuzzer to begin. Um, I don't know for sure that that's true, but it is something that I think is probably true. I don't have a good way to verify one way. Let's see if this worked. Holy crap, that worked. That actually worked once. Vert, count to 10. Die. Suck. What I'm hoping for right now, that maybe this is D'Amato being awful. Not D'Amato. Flask. Like, Flask is not really designed for what I'm making it. So, as far as I'm aware, people have not had good success trying to do machine learning fuzzing. I've definitely seen plenty of people try and do it academically. I have not seen anybody do it in a way that actually had real. There's a number of different reasons that might, um, but at least from what I've seen, machine learning and fuzzing don't really that well together. There's just like a 50% chance that this fuzzer is going. Fortunate if that. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to let this run, and I'm going to get up and grab a drink real quick. I will be back in about 5 minutes. So give me a minute here, people. I should be back. It's about 5:58 my time, so probably 5:55-ish. I should be back by. Bye. Okay, so I should be back now. Man, I just on time too. That's crazy. So we've now given this 5 minutes to sit. Let's see if it still works properly. So, hello, Ghost. Welcome back. I guess not back, but that looks like it worked. Very exciting. So part 1 of what I wanted to get done today works. We now have this fuzzer working at least reasonably well. That should work. So that's fine. That is a crash we kind of expect to see. For some reason, it will redirect to invalid data sometimes. And it's actually an interesting bug because it means it's doing a iframe escape. So we're fuzzing in an iframe, and it's able to actually jump out to the redirect like surrounding window, which I don't think it's supposed to be able to. I don't like what's going on here. So as far as I can tell, if for a certain timeout, if I wait a certain timeout, it will. But if I don't wait that time, it won't work. Try this. If this is actually the answer, I'm going to be something going on. Hello, Jafra. So the current setup is we have this redirection page, and that after 10 seconds, which try and redirect main fuzzing page. Yet, like I swear I sat down, I reverted the VM and it worked, right? Oh, okay. Let me tweak it some more. So, for people who are new, if the sound does not appear to be working particularly well, please tell me. I keep changing settings, hoping they have yet. So, this settings I had. Sorry about this, by the way. Like all of this popping up like this. What I can do about it. I'm now limited to one screen. The other machine. So the attack was a little bit higher. The release was a little bit higher. This was lower. This back down. That's the same. Noise gate was 12. 200, 150. All seem. So we now have the same settings that I was using previously for streaming. If there are still problems, yell at me and should not be dropping out. If it is, yell at me, I will try and fix it. My guess is that it's related to how I'm doing noise suppression. So it's set up so that if oh, do I need to up the attack? Is that what it is? So like I pulled it up, all the settings that I can toggle there, and it's a little bit annoying the way some of them work. It's not quite clear to me how all of them work. There's certain situations where if it detects, yeah, see that it just happened there, didn't it? I'll start saying something and it won't quite pop back up. You'll miss just a little bit there. So I want to. Let me look up what these actually do. Noise gate. Oh, Hold control is used to define the length of time fully or the release. So I probably want to lower the hold. Drop this down to like. Okay. How about that? Does that sound about right? Yeah, it looks fine to me. At least looking at it visually, it looks like it's about what I wanted. And looking at fuzzer running, doing more or less. So it appears that if we revert the VM too soon, it will cause problems, which is bad. I definitely do want that happening, but it is something that I may have to just live with. Like it puts a hard lower limit on how much I can get. But okay, yeah. If it does have any problems in the future, please let me know, and I will do what I can to try and fix it. Like it. It's one of many settings that I'm probably going to tweak on the new computer. I've not fully done yet. So this works. So this is the fuzzer. That appears to work. We can now revert the VM, and that works. The last thing we need to do is crash dumps interesting. I revert this. That is unfortunate. So if I put a new folder in here, revert it. This is going to be a little tricky to, yeah, that's unfortunate. So there's a couple pieces here that matter. So yes, I did get a new computer. It's part of the reason why I wasn't streaming last week. I don't think you can actually get it. So we're actually remote desktoped into the old computer right now. The new computer is much beefier and more powerful. It's a nice fancy octa-core Ryzen processor with more than double the RAM that I had previously. So hopefully it's going to be pretty good. My hope is that it's going to be much faster and have gotten rid of a lot of the running in. But that's the hope. So we have a crash dump here. We want to copy that off, and we want to do so in an automated fashion. So I do. So the first thing I want to do is I want to actually map this. Let's I just here add a network location custom. Also see, I also didn't have much storage on the old computer. I had a 150 150 gig SSD and then a 1 terabyte hard drive. The new computer has a 1 terabyte. It actually has a 1 terabyte SSD. How do I happen now? That's what I wanted. 5 crash. Work? That looks like it works. Okay, so that works. If I come in here, I should see. Okay, so I just need to actually run this. That's unfortunate. Dog, see watchdog. there's a number of things we want to do. So this is just going to be stuff. So while loop check e dumps for 2 for dumps. If for dump copy out at m, if fuzz rate. So we need to think about this for a second. So if no fuzzes in 30 seconds, sounds reasonable. So the first thing we need to do is we need to have a function to reset VM. I want to if name in file 1, going to check I crazy in that I can't check core dumps. Okay, so let's tweak those again. I'm pretty unhappy if this the problem here is that it will not change things while I'm currently talking. So hold time is lower time. So I think this may give you a little bit more like background noise, but hopefully this fixes it. I'd rather have a little bit more background noise than, as everyone who's watching knows, things I have to say are the most important possible listening. That's especially amusing for the people who've been around for the past 2 hours and about how Linux on the desktop is yet. My opinion on that is far from the definitive. So we check to see if there's a core dump. We also need to check number of fuzzes. And do this one. So start with really should get this fixed, although I'm not sure I care anymore. I've got things broken so that I can't use screen properly. I'm not being dumb here. I just start a term. Up, but I'm not read it so that everybody can read it. So dot fuzzing watchdog. So we need to check to see if there are core dumps. If I guess the first thing to do here is comment that out. You don't want to loop. Import OS. OS. Real Python. So I have the real system Python. Import OS. OS dot. Is that right? os.listener e:/dump. That len greater than 1. Want to copy the core dump out. So os dot move. Do I have a move? Rename? Is that it? That Sorry if this text is too small for people. Yes, so one of the things that I've done is the new computer has the desktop sound piped to all the people watching the stream, because if it's going to beep at me, so I think that's right. So we're going to do a os.name /dump. Crap. So not target equal to this one. The best way to do this is unfortunate. I hate that I'm doing it this. CD is equal to I for I in D if I does not equal not target. And we want the first element for that. Oh, computer. Yeah, we're going to change it. Dir plus. Yeah. Also going to be that. We have all this. Now moved the core dump over, if that was the core dump that we have, and all that. Looks good. Put it in front. Try. d:/fuzzing/watchdog Python. Rename takes exactly. Oh. d:/fuzzing/fuzzing. I need to go this. Fuzzing slash. What? Crash. This should be slash. There we go. That should be Python test.py access to. Why does that not? Don't tell me why it. Um. Hmm. So if I take that os.rename d:/that fuzzing. Oh, right. Probably need to escape to. Okay. Oh, that was me. Huh. Well, that's a. So if we come back here, I expect to see that we crash s. Try that. Crash s with. Yeah, that works. So we want this to be plus D. That should work. So this is going to, if we have new crashes, move them into the crash directory. It looks like it does okay. So we're gonna do that. We also need to check if we fuzz case that in the D'Amato directory. I edit by. This is opening a test cases. So status is up here. Status here is equal to sq3.connect /. So this is in the watchdog directory. Go up a directory and into D'Amato test dot dot sir dot time c dot x select count are from computers where time is question time class that L is equal to C dot fetch 1. Recent is that. If recent, if it's less than, listen, we're not getting many fuzz cases. Reset. I think this should work. Print. SQLite. We should input that SQLite. And it works. Oh, we should actually print stuff out. Print. God. Or dump. Print. Actually, this should be happening. Oh, there we go. Look at that. And we actually want this to dot sleep. Like, we only need this to be checking even once a second. It's probably often. Oh, and we should actually call this too. There we go. So how do we reset? Uh, so the way that I did it previously was I used a PowerShell script. A couple different. So how do I want to do? I probably just want to write a PowerShell script. I do git check. I do this. X. What is this? X. Yeah. Oh, I should call it the not have their prior permission. Okay, run in. Same thing again. Oh, okay, so yes, I have the right name. I want, I assume, fuzz. So 4-vm fuzz 8 name x s firm false. Interesting. So we want save this as a PowerShell script. There's a couple things right now that we that are different. This is a PowerShell script. Save that off real quick. Reset.ps at I run a PowerShell. Sorry, anybody you're listening to that. I guess I can just run. Yeah, I don't need to run script. IMB PowerShell and I think the best way to do this. Yeah, we're just doing it. I can escape. Spell it right. There we go. That is what I want to. Here, our reset VM is going. So, for process print output that L is equal to true. So I think that should. I actually think all of this. CD/D / buzzing watchdog python test.py. Connect properly. Okay. Oh. Oh, because I'm running as an admin, it's not going to work. Can't hear you. Hearing 2 words, then 10 seconds, nothing, and so on. Is that still happening? Hmm. Hmm. Is anyone else hearing that? I think it should be. So I know that was happening earlier, and I thought it was fixed now. And as far as I can tell, looking at the waveform, looks like it's working properly. So if that is happening, and if it's still happening, please let me know, and I will see if I can get that fixed. It should not be very least. So I want net use colon 165 slash crash Python test 10x. Oh, it's not escaping it again. Why is it not escaping it? So that worked. Do I need to be double escaping this? Is it a problem? That's a run that again. It happens less when I don't type. Interesting. So maybe it may be that the threshold for the typing is triggering things. Really what I need to do is I need to hook this up and get a analyzer. Oh. Of course it's going to reset the VM and that's deep 30. Sure. We need to give the VM long enough to eventually. If we don't, it'll never. I think all these pieces should be working. There is this weird probabilistic thing that I still don't have an answer for, which sometimes the network doesn't act properly. I thought we fixed. I'd be pretty unhappy. Yeah, so what I need to do, I think, is I need to like record this and take a look without all the filters or without some of the noise gate stuff. Because unfortunately, like I tweaked a lot of these settings so that it would work well, or at least reasonably well. And they're not going to be quite the same when I've moved to the new computer. And I am not at all happy if the oh wow, now I actually saw that one happening. So if I'm apparently if I'm talking sometime like I need to just go through this with actual recording checks because I definitely don't have these settings right, and I need to play with them until I do. But this looks good. Like, this looks like what I wanted to be doing. Question is, when this catches a crash, we get it off properly. Does it reset properly? I think, given that this all took longer than I would have liked it, kind of the story, right? We're going to take this. We're going to actually set it. I'm sorry. Assuming that all of this worked, we're probably going to end this stream about 10 minutes, verify that it works, and get it all set up so that it'll actually stream this fuzzer. Again, assuming everything works, which may or may not be a good assumption. But just should have triggered resetting the VM setting. Set the VM. Does it pick up the connection? The real quick test here. Does it pick it up? It did. I really need to figure out why this is happening. Because it's kind of unacceptable for us to this many. But I don't know what else to do. Sitting here for 10 minutes to set the VM over and over again, like, that kills our throughput. So let's shrink this like that. This looks reasonable-ish. Not perfect, reasonable-ish. Watchdog is running, it's not seeing anything. It does see something. Start over. It looks like actually some of the... Looking at my sound there are definitely certain... Like, when I go, it isn't necessarily picking up. It's not at all what I want. Yeah, this is... The sound quality here is pretty... That's very unfortunate. I need to definitely go and take some time and fix that as soon as I have a chance to. Like, I think the ordering here is, once this is up and working, I can get this started and I fuzz it. Then I need to go through and work all of my noise suppression settings. Hopefully get this to the state where it no longer causes any problems for me, because I definitely don't want it cutting off my voice like that, right? 100% unacceptable. So we just stopped fuzzing because we hit watchdogs. Should hopefully see that. 30 seconds of no test case is too much. Maybe if we do... So what if we do 20 seconds? 15 seconds here. We want to say there are no test cases That should give us enough that if it's working, there should be test cases after it resets. But if there aren't test cases, then we need anything. Actually, if we get a core dump like that, I'm a little bit concerned about that. So we're reordering this. I want to make sure there's plenty of time for it save off a core dump. Because I'd be really unhappy to end up with like broken core dumps because we tried to grab them. That's kind of a worst case scenario for us here. We are getting crashes and aren't properly capturing them. That's always one of the worst things about running a fuzzer, when you are successfully getting crashes, but unsuccessfully capturing enough information to. One of the most frustrating things that I've had happen when fuzzing is you get what looks like you get a test case which has ASCII in the program counter, so like EIP, RIP, and forgot to save off the test case that caused it, or because of how it crashed, save off the test case. Any number of things like that. It is always incredibly annoying when, because you know you have what is probably an exploitable bug, but you have no way to know how you actually got there. So this looks pretty reasonable. It currently appears to be fuzzing properly. A watchdog that sets properly when the fuzzer is not active, as well as resetting when we get a core dump. Look at this directory. There's a couple. There aren't many, but it's getting there. Fully pulling them up. I think we'll open two. So if we go open a crash dump, /fuzzing crashes all files. Sorry. That looks not perfect because this is a LDREF, but it looks like we are actually getting at least reasonable crashes out of it. As long as this resets that in some number of seconds, 20 to 30 seconds, I think. On set. Even. Oh, that is very unfortunate. Looks like yet again I'm talking. Wow, that is so bad. Like, now that I'm more aware of it, I'm watching the sound more, and watching it just fail to pick up what I'm saying. It's pretty annoying. Hmm. Why is that not working? So it thinks it just reset the VM and did set the. Oh, you're not doing something that is very important, which is I don't think we're properly set. So we should be setting some of these as crashes, not unfortunately. I don't think it matters too much. We can take a look in a second, but oh, so it's actually much worse than I thought it was because I noticed I was saying some of the like under my breath like shit talking the fuzzer, and it completely failed to capture any of that talking. So this looks like it's working. I think I'm gonna say we're gonna end the stream now. I'm gonna get this up and running and pushed out so that people can actually watch this run, and I can try and get this fixed up a little bit in the future. Because as long as we are getting core dumps, that tells us a little bit, and we can worry about making it better in the future. So, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been nice having people. Thanks anybody who managed to stay for the entire time. And yeah, I will see everybody next Wednesday, and hopefully next Wednesday we'll have a ton of core dumps to actually go through and find some cool crashes out. Because hopefully this results in some cool, totally exploitable crashes that we can take advantage of. That's the hope, at least. So, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and I will see you all next week. Feel free to tune in to the fuzzer running, which in probably about 10-15 minutes. Actually, it might be a little bit longer than that. I need to set all the OBS things up on this machine. But sometime this evening, I expect to have this fuzzer up and running so that people can watch it fuzz around the clock. So, like I said, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I will see you all next week. Bye.